The number is 9.5, so let's go or hell no. They will go under again this season. Joe, we'll start with you.
Hell no. They're going over. At least 10-7. They are favored in the first 5 games. They're favored in 12 of 17 games. And in the 5 games, they're dogs. They are dogs of at least a field goal once. That's the Arrowhead game. That's it. The other one's 1 or 2 points. They're expected to be in every game, and I think it's going to work out. The move with the offensive coordinator, Spielberger, was going over all of the injuries that piled up. Now, if there's a team that you're going to bet on to be injured, you'd probably pick the Chargers because it happens every single year no matter who the doctor is. But, yeah, I'm going to say we're finally – we're at a point where, okay, even 7 losses actually feels like a lot, and we're still hitting this with 7. So I'm going hell no on the Chargers going under, once again, the number 9.5.
I'm going over, though I'm probably a little bit more bearish than the rest of you guys. I'm thinking it's probably going to be 10-7, maybe 10-6-1, something like that. If you look at all the quarterback metrics for Justin Herbert, advanced and otherwise, he's a top 10 quarterback, maybe top 12 in a couple of places. But the other thing that matters, and we sort of alluded to it already, but I think it's worth the deeper dive. Having Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, I think, is going to be a real game changer, not just because the average depth of target is going to go up a little bit more, but I think also what the Chargers were trying to do last year was sort of play this sort of ball control thing. And I think one of the things that we've learned about today's NFL is that ball control offensively really doesn't work, because the longer you have the football offensively, the likelier you are to make a significant mistake. Some sort of turnover, some sort of, third down not converting, something like that. And I think Kellen Moore is, more analytically minded than that, to say, hey, on those early downs, we need to push the ball down the field a good bit more. Regardless of whatever injuries we may have at the wide receiver position, we need to trust those backups more significantly. Not to mention that Herbert is a mobile quarterback. And yeah, you may not necessarily want to put your investment in harm's way, but you've got to be more aggressive. You've got to score, get off the field quickly. And that's how the Chargers are going to win more football games this year. And I think those slight edges will make the Chargers a 10-11 win football team.
The Chargers, is this the year they finally go over the win total at 9.5?
I really want to think so. I know we probably say this every year, but I really do think so. You get some positive regression. With injuries would be the biggest thing, and that is always a thorn in their side. They did change their sports science staff, it sounds like. So, maybe there's a signal there, some meaning there. But, no Rashawn Slater the whole season, a lot of no Joey Bosa, basically no J.C. Jackson the whole season. I think you drop in a Quentin Johnson in the first round. So even if you do miss some time with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, which you probably will miss a couple of games there no matter what, you're buoyed now by a good first-round draft pick. So I am bullish on them. I am buying the hype for the, 12th season in a row. But I think this finally is when they pull through.
Brock Purdy cleared, ready to go for San Francisco. Looks like he'll be there week 1. What are your thoughts on the Niners heading into the season? Can Brock Purdy do what he did last season?
Massive news. I really thought that was not going to happen. I was waiting for the Sam Darnold era for the first couple of weeks to play out and see how that went. So, yeah, I think outside of quarterback, they might have the best roster in the NFL. So it also is tied to the NFC, I think, is just so far behind the AFC, where it would be a bigger deal if Brock Purdy was competing with, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Instead, it's all right, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Geno Smith, right? So I do. I think they're a very good football team. I do love Seattle, probably my biggest exposure in a division win total, but San Francisco should be, a true contender in the NFC.
What do you think about Atlanta coming into the season? Are they maybe a dark horse contender in the NFC, or at least a team maybe where you'd go over their win total?
It's funny. It's probably a compliment and an insult at the same time. Like, I kind of think they could be this year's Minnesota Vikings, where I think they could win 10, 11 games, but I think 7 of those wins could be by 4 points, or less, right? Like, I think they are going to play a lot of close, tight games. They're probably in the worst division in the NFL and the NFC South. We'll see what Desmond Ridder has to offer. I think he was good in one game last year, and very poor in the other that we saw from him down the stretch. But yeah, the defense, it's not going to be great, but should be, vastly improved. They had 34 sacks the last 2 seasons, and Nick Bosa had 32. I mean, they literally could not generate a pass rush to save their life. So I think they'll be pretty solid. I think they are a, potential wild card situation, maybe win that division right around 9 wins. But yeah, I could see them too, though, with the way they're constructed, if they want to just bleed clock and just keep the football out of the opposing team's hands, win a lot of 21-17 football games, maybe sneak in, 11 or 12 wins. But again, like a fluke, not fluky, but an underlying metric not supporting 11 or 12 wins.
The Tampa Bay Rays are engaged in serious talks with the White Sox for veteran starter Lynn. The two sides have already exchanged names. Now, because Lance Lynn is currently a Chicago White Sox member, we've talked about him extensively on this show. And even though he has been on our list of losers before, there are arguments to be made that maybe we need to take him off that list. And for starters, the fact that he's rumored to be traded and that another Major League Ball club would be willing to trade for his services, maybe that reason alone suggests that he shouldn't be on this list. The other thing, too, and Mike Petriello brought this up, and to me this is really intriguing, when you look at Lance Lynn's numbers this season, he's been just as effective as he's ever been against right-handed hitters. The triple slash, 200, 276, 338, all of those are pretty good numbers. His strikeout rate is actually up. He's striking out nearly 28% of batters he's faced. That's well above the Major League average and would be his highest since 2019. The problem he's faced involve lefties and giving up home runs to lefties. Now, that's been really, really bad, but the things that Lance Lynn can still do prove that in certain situations, he can be an effective Major League pitcher. And so, Joe, knowing all of this, are you willing to say adjust what you think of Lance Lynn and that maybe he shouldn't be a part of this list of losers?
For right now, I would say still include him on the list because the results are the results. It's late July. He has the second highest ERA in baseball, only behind Jordan Lyles, and it's barely behind Jordan Lyles. He's given up the most home runs. I mean, that's what counts when we're betting on this stuff. But I'm willing to look at it and say, okay, that could be a good pickup for the last 2 months of the season. But as you dissect where he struggles and where he has had some success, is it going to be tough for a team to find a spot where, okay, he's going to succeed? He's going to be able to avoid some left-handed pitching. I mean, I think part of the problem, part of the reason we've gotten here with these numbers with Lynn is he pitches in a hitter's park. So that's part of the reason he's given up a ton of homers. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens again tonight. Like Swanson went yard in that bandbox last night twice. Now, how do you do that? If you bring Lynn on, how do you avoid the lefties? Okay, can you use him as a reliever? A guy that's been around this long and he only knows being the workhorse. Like, there are a lot of times, Pedro Grifol, I'm like, what are you doing? He doesn't have it today. Why is he throwing 100 pitches every single game? Look at his game log. It's between 95 and 100 every single game, no matter how many home runs he gives up. And, he keeps giving up 9 hits a game as well. So, yeah, there will be spots. I don't think it's a guy that you can transition to the bullpen, though. It would have to be against a lineup that doesn't have many lefties.